Thank you, Michael. That was fantastic. Boy, I tell you one thing. If you ever want to work the Unity North crowd up, just do a Beatles song. All of a sudden, we're on our feet. We're ready to go. We're ready to sing. But the song said, get back to where, say it again, get back to where we once belonged. Where was that? The proverbial fall from grace. Somewhere along the line of this human journey, we forgot that we belong to each other. Somewhere along this human journey, we began to create a divide, and borders came in. Can we get back and be a veteran of the cause of the coming back together? Back to the Garden of Eden, back to the remembrance, back to the truth that there is only one of us here in this room. And each one of us, as symbols of that unity, deserve freedom. Each one of us as symbols of the presence of God and the power of God made manifest in so many different colors and textures and shapes and sizes belong to each other. That's where I want to get back to, the place where we once belonged and where we had forgotten. Our master teacher, Jesus, this is what he has to say in the book of John, chapter 15, verse 13. Read it with me, please. Greater love has no one than this, that then he lay down their life for their friends. I have to ask you the question today, what is your friend? Sometimes a friend is just that, a friend, another human being. Sometimes it's a family member. Sometimes it's a community. Sometimes it's a nation. Greater love has no one than they offer their life to the service of an ideal, a cause. Most times there is a cause and an ideal behind the person, behind the community, behind the nation. And we need to be willing to have the eyes, the spiritual eyes, to see beyond the effects of how we get there and how we agree or disagree on how we get there, that there is an ideal underneath the surface. In this community, it is the ideal of our common humanity. It is the return, the prodigal son coming home to the Garden of Eden, realizing that the only reason we weren't experiencing it is that we had left. We had gone away. And so we're all walking a path, a journey, to get back to that place of home. Jesus was walking into Jerusalem when he said this. He was walking smack dab into what he knew was going to be his last days. Yet he says, the cause is more important than what's about to happen. Because I don't define myself by my human experience. And so today, as we honor our veterans, let's not look so much at the human experience and the difficulties and the bloodshed and the violence and the war, but let's look at what's underneath it, the cause, and be willing to give our lives in one form or another for that ideal and that cause. Now, hopefully nobody here is going to have to lay down their life for that. I don't know one veteran who enjoyed having to participate in a war. But I don't know one veteran who didn't also believe in the power of peace and the possibility of freedom for all people. And so we can dance on the disagreement of any war that we happen to be involved in. We can dance on the disagreement of 1,000 things politically, or we can live and breathe and have our being in the divine energy that's underneath it. We are a causal reality. And so in unity, we spend our time in cause, not so much in the effects. And so I encourage you, as you hear from your veterans today, to live in the realm of cause, to live in the realm of the common desire for freedom, the common desire for peace, and to join the men and the women who stood and committed for something greater than themselves, with an unshakable, unwavering commitment, dedication, resolve, an unmovable loyalty, and a devotion to the divine idea. We can gather energy from them. The ideal might be different for you. It might be tweaked a little bit, but if you dig down to the surface and to the roots, we all want the same thing, the return to that Garden of Eden. Now, I've heard it said that there are no atheists in foxholes. Have you heard that? In the trenches, there are no atheists. I don't know if that is true or not. But I tell you one thing that I do know about those kinds of rubber meets the road, face to face with the difficulties and the darkness, is that nobody's asking the question in the trench, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? Nobody's asking, are you a Muslim, a Christian, or a Jew, or a Buddhist, or a Hindu? Nobody's asking that question. They're not saying, well, are you black or white? Are yellow or brown. They don't have time to mess around with such trivialities. What they do is you are my brother, you are my sister, and we have a common purpose. And so I think that sometimes we could learn a lot from those who have been in the trenches. We could learn a lot from those who have had bullet fire going overhead, who are forced to come face to face with, we belong to each other. We belong to each other, and I don't care how different you might be. Let's spend time in our common purpose. The time has come. You know, we don't have bullets going over our head in this country, but I'll be so bold to say that we have some challenges. We have some big challenges in our country right now, and the time has come to gather the courage, the fortitude, and the mettle of a veteran. We have to give up our right to go hide and wait for somebody else to do it. We have to give up our desire and dream that some Messiah is going to come and to make it all better, or some soldier is going to come, take care of it, and make it all better. We have to be the change we want to see. So I'm saying Veterans Day, we need to draw a line in the sand. The time has come to draw a line in the sand that says, this is what I stand for, this is what I don't stand for. Last month we talked about Jesus saying, make your yes, make your no, and quit waffling around in there waiting for somebody else to do that. Because if we keep doing what we're doing today, we're going to be in the same place 10, 15, 20 years from now. And I have a dream for my grandchildren that they get a lot better world because I had the guts and the courage to stand in the line of fire for something more beautiful, something more profoundly one. I don't want them to have to work to get to the Garden of Eden that we know exists within us, within our nation. So let's surpass our arguments. And let's come to the place of, we got to do something, or we're going to end up in this hell for the rest of eternity. I have a little more hope in humanity. I'd like to bring the first veteran up to speak. He's a member of our board of directors. He has served this community well. He also served in the Iraq War. And that is Adam Daly. Will you please welcome to the podium Adam Daly.
Do you want me to talk about the...
I want you to talk about whatever's on your heart.
Oh, man. We can be here for a while. No, I really don't know what to say because there's lots of experiences that I can share that are funny but not church appropriate, that are, very disturbing, but at the same time very thought-provoking, really make you look at things differently and want to change and want to see a different way, which I think is a lot of the reason why I'm actually probably here at Unity now, because of the way that the faith has helped me, or just the understanding, I guess is a better way to put it. The understanding has helped me process and look at everything that I got to experience when I was in Iraq. I spent 2 years there, so I had so much fun the first time. The Army decided to send me back again. But it was just something that, I did in high school and ended up doing for the next 20 years. And, we talked about sacrifice, and Richard actually told me that, it means to make sacred. And I guess what I always think about sacrifice, what most people thought about was, giving up yourself or dying for something else. But when you look at it to make sacred, then I kind of look at my services to make sacred, because I did it because I thought it was something bigger than myself, something better that I could do. That, we talk about we do it for college money or whatever, but when you're actually there and you're actually with the guys next to you, that it is something bigger than you. It is something more special than just that instance that you're in. And all those memories and all those things that I did, really, I do believe has become sacred, because some of those guys are my best friends in the world now. We can go 10 years without seeing each other, and then it's like we just saw each other yesterday. And it really is an amazing experience to do something, to give yourself something else, and to be willing to, just not think about you, but think about the person next to you and the people back at home that you hope that you're doing something better for. So thank you for the time.
Very good. Please put right there on the... So Adam talked about sacrifice to make holy. to make sacred. And that's what the etymology of the word sacrifice means. And I think the time has come for us to get intimately acquainted with the line that needs to be drawn. Intimately acquainted with the circles that need to be drawn. This is what Martin Luther King Jr. has to say about sacrifice. Let's read this together. Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle. The tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. I believe it was the Buddha that said that all life is also suffering. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Buddha had something in common. For the forward movement that we all seek, there must be a degree of giving up one's life in one form or another to make wholeness, to bring back the wholeness, to return to the Garden of Eden, to make everything sacred. And the 4 questions that I believe every veteran has to ask, and that I believe we as spiritual students have to ask. 4 simple questions. Who am I? I have to know who I am, or I'm not going to survive on the battlefield. And let me tell you, with our current state of affairs in our country, if you don't know who you are, and you don't live from that place completely and totally, you're going to be in trouble, because you're going to be subject to the whims of everything that's happening on. Who am I? That is the pencil that draws the line. Second question we need to ask is, what is my gift to the family of Earth? You have something to bring to this planet. You're not here by accident. That veteran was not in that particular place by any sort of accident. It's a divine appointment of some sort or another. So what is my gift? What is mine to bring? That's drawing the circle. I'm going to bring in anybody who will experience the gift of what I have to offer. Third question is, what do I stand for? I believe it was Alexander Hamilton who said that those who stand for nothing will fall for anything. You want to be a chunk of driftwood going to and forth with the waves of our country where it is right now, you're going to get pulled to one side or the other. Go to your corners, and we have the duality that we teach against here. You need to stand for who you are, be in the center, and bring both parts together into a place of oneness. And there's nothing easy about that. It takes sacrifice. And as one who has worked diligently in that, I'll tell you that I haven't been hit by any bullets, but I've been hit by some words. I've been hit by some critique. Oh, you need to come on to my side. You need to come to my side. The end. I'm drawing a line. That needs to stop, and it needs to stop in this community. I have good, beautiful, wonderful friends who are Republican who sit in this church. And I have very good friends that are Democrats. I have very good friends who are independent. I have very good friends in this community that don't vote. I have a little trouble with them. But the reality is, until we can draw a line, a circle in the sand, and say we belong to each other, if we cannot prove it in this community, how in the world are we going to prove it in the nation? We need to serve as a veteran for a greater cause, a greater ideal, and I need to hold myself accountable by asking the question, who am I? What do I stand for? What is my gift to the family of Earth? And then the final question, how am I going to live knowing that I may die? How am I going to live my life knowing that I may die? Let me submit to you today that if our country stays in the same place that it is today, we are dying. And it will be the end of anything, United States, united humanity, united anything. And the trip back to the Garden of Eden, the prodigal son says, no, I stop halfway. I'm saying there can be no halfway. Our veterans demonstrate that you don't do life halfway. Go ahead and argue with the war that they fought and the decision of the government that put them there, but do not argue with the integrity that says there's a greater reality that wants to emerge here. Jesus asked those 4 questions when he walked into the city of peace, Jerusalem. Who am I and what do I stand for? It would have been easier to run the other direction. And he gave his life for it, like many veterans gave their life for a cause. And the world was forever changed in a positive way. I'm saying be the Christ. Don't put the responsibility on Jesus. Don't put it on the veterans that you're going to hear from today. Take it. Own it. It's yours. The time has come, and you are the people. You are the person that's going to make the change. Jesus, like our veterans, had people that supported his cause, people that did not support his cause. People that argue over the sacrifice, whether it was true or it wasn't true. Again, let us transcend the arguments of the validity of any war and come to the place of gathering the energy. You see, we are energetic beings, and the courage and the strength and the moral integrity of our soldiers grab that. None of us thinks war is the answer. General Douglas MacArthur knew that. This is what he had to say. Together, the soldier above all others prays for peace, for it is the soldier who must suffer and bear the deepest wounds and scars of war. The veterans I know have seen things, experienced things, and carried things that I can never even imagine. And they pray for peace more passionately than the average Joe that's reaping the benefits of their service. Let's be mindful not just on Veterans Day or Memorial Day. Let's be mindful every day of this blessed miracle that we get to share. I'd like to invite our second veteran to come up. She is a veteran of the Afghanistan war, and she's a powerhouse, so get ready. Will you please welcome Wanda Thomas?
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, wow. I'm just honored, first and foremost, to be here on our own soil. There were so many times that I sat in the chapel, just like where you guys are, and every military serviceman had a weapon either strapped to them or laying on the floor while we was having service, because that's just the way it is in a war zone. So many times, just as we sitting here, and we can sit here with peace and not think about bombs coming in or rockets coming in, but so many times we sat there and all of a sudden the siren went off and we had to take cover. Now, this was only 5 years ago. And I want to tell you, in the midst of all of that, the men and women, the soldiers, every military service, the civilians, in the midst of sitting just like where you are, they were raising their hands, they was worshiping, and they were praying for our nation, along with fighting for our nation and our freedom. So I want you to think today and reflect on how blessed we are as a nation, as a people, oneness of what it's like to be able to sit and not have to worry about a rocket or a bomb coming in. Because let me tell you, they don't discriminate. They don't care what your political views are or your religious views. So many times they came in, we didn't know where they were going to hit when we heard the sirens. We were just praying that it was not going to be where we were located. One in particular time, it was Christmas morning at 12:35 in the morning. I had only been in Afghanistan less than 2 weeks, lying in bed, and all of a sudden the siren goes off. We had to take cover. You don't even have time to get dressed like you would dress to go outside, but we had to run to the bunker. Once it was cleared and we went back in, there was an outpost about 5 miles from where we were at Bagram. And some of you may have heard of Bagram. That's the biggest base there in Afghanistan in the north. You lying in bed and you still hear the gunfire, because that means that there was some other, our American soldiers under attack. All I would do, and Richard's title is Unshakable Commitment, was to lay there and pray and dispatch the angels around them and pray that nobody lose their lives while we're laying in bed and everyone else is getting ready to celebrate Christmas. And here we are in the midst of a war where people worried about giving gifts and who didn't have the money to buy gifts and what kind of gifts. We were just grateful to have our lives. I just want to say today, know that every one of us can have that same unshakable commitment here today. You don't have to be over there in Afghanistan. You don't have to be surrounded by the mountains over there with the snow. You can do the same thing here. In the midst of everything that's going on in our nation right now, we must, as a people, have unshakable commitment to one another. Not the cause on the left and the cause on the right. See, because when those bullets was coming, let me tell you, they didn't care where they were going and who they was hitting. And I went to too many memorial services over there. And it wasn't about the blacks or the white or the Muslims or the Christians or the Democrats or the Republican. They didn't care. And they didn't make it home. So my plea to you today is to have that unshakable commitment that we're going to stand together in love, the love of God and the light of God, because that's what we need today.
Thank you. Thank you. We all know the words of John F. Kennedy, who also gave his life for the cause. And we know the familiar words that said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." And we hold on to that, but there's a heck of a lot more to that speech than we quote. He continued not shortly after that statement to say to the rest of the world, not ask what the United States of America can do for you, but ask what we can do. We. He opened his arms to a global possibility to create freedom and peace for all people. That reminded me of my hero, Leo Buscaglia, the practitioner of love. And he said, don't spend your precious time asking, why isn't the world a better place? The question to ask is, how can I make it better? Can we put that quote up there and read that together? We have a quote, I think I made one. There we go. Together. Don't spend your precious time asking, why isn't the world a better place? The question to ask is, how can I make it better? The time has come to stand and deliver, to draw the line, to draw the circle. And when you come face to face with racism, you no longer have the option to go hide. When racism is in front of you, you stand and you deliver. When sexism, which is rampant in our country right now, you come face to face with it, you don't have the right to back up. When homophobia is right in front of you, you get to stand as a veteran. You see, it's one thing to put on a suit and a tie and to honor once a year our veterans, and oh, it feels so good. It is yet another to truly honor them. When hate is in front of you, you stand against hate. And you say, not on my watch. When we witness abuse, belittling, bullying, rudeness, and divisiveness, your voice must be heard. I had the opportunity to travel to North Carolina when the Vietnam Memorial, the traveling Vietnam Memorial came through town, and I was asked to compose a song and to then sing that song in front of weeping families. And the song that I composed that God put in my heart was, I Will Remember Your Name. Names, names, so many names. The men and women who stood up here just a moment ago, I will remember your name. I will remember your sacrifice. I will remember your courage. I will remember the courage of every person who ever stood in difficulty or uncomfortableness to propel a greater vision. I mentioned Martin Luther King. I mentioned John F. Kennedy. There's a whole line of them. Elizabeth Stanton Welch, Susan B. Anthony, Harriet Tubman, people like Princess Diana. And there's a line, Cesar Chavez from my home state of California stood in the line of fire for a greater cause, and the world was forever changed. They channeled a Christ. And I'm saying the time has come for us to channel the Christ as well. That your voice must be heard. I'm going to invite a member of our YOU to come up now before we go into meditation and hear from others. She's not a veteran. I think she's probably all of 16 or 17 years old. Come on up. She and I are doing a presentation. This is Cecilia Zabala. And Cecilia and I are going to do a presentation on Thursday night at Temple Kolemeth, when people of all faith traditions are coming together to harmonize the voices of humanity. And I can't think of, first of all, a more beautiful human being, inwardly and outwardly, to share that opportunity with in our brief 4 to 5 minutes to share. This is the piece that we're going to do on Thursday night. Let it be your call to action. Let it be your call to courage. Let it be your call to draw the line, to draw the circle, and to add your voice to what is needed. You ready? There's a microphone right there for you. Place your hand upon your heart as you receive these words, please.
Hi, everyone. Every voice matters.
Every voice counts.
Every voice is needed.
Every voice must sound.
Every voice important.
Every song, every word.
Every voice has value.
Let your voice be heard.
The young,
The old,
the girl,
the boy,
each man,
each woman,
a song of joy.
The gay,
The straight,
and BTQ,
the voice of me, the voice of you. The Christian,
Sikh,
Muslim,
and Jew,
Buddhist,
Baha'i,
Taoist,
pagan,
and pagan too.
Every voice matters.
Every voice counts.
Every voice is needed.
Every voice must sound.
Every voice important.
Every song, every word.
Every voice has value.
Let your voice be heard.
The black,
The white,
the yellow,
the brown.
the time has come.
The time is now to step back,
Step up,
step out,
step in,
but take the step
and just begin.
To speak out,
Speak up,
speak strong,
speak loud,
speak love,
speak peace,
speak kind,
speak proud. A voice of compassion,
a voice that brings light,
a voice that brings justice,
a voice that unites, a voice of deep passion.
Not passive, but strong.
Your voice is power.
Your voice is your song.
Cultivate,
Cooperate,
illuminate,
actuate,
motivate,
emanate,
advocate,
animate,
educate,
inflate,
substantiate,
arbitrate,
radiate,
perpetrate,
elevate,
celebrate,
penetrate,
demonstrate,
and decimate
all the hate. With a new heart and vision,
new spirit, new view.
the world is waiting.
The
chorus needs you.
Every voice matters.
Every voice counts.
Every voice is needed.
Every voice must sound.
Every voice important.
Every song, every word.
Every voice has value.
Your voice must be heard. And in your singing,
And in your shout,
and in your whispers,
remove the doubt.
that we are one.
Each voice, each heart.
Humanity in harmony. Your pain is mine.
Your joy I share.
Your loss I carry.
Your burdens I bear.
We walk together.
No one alone.
We share one mother,
Our earthly home.
in sympathy,
And empathy.
willingly,
Actively.
lovingly,
Vulnerably.
regularly,
Visibly.
audibly,
Honestly.
tenderly,
Remember that we
are one humanity.
One biology.
One spiritual technology,
One creation.
incarnation,
Invocation.
consecration,
affirmation,
realization,
of love,
of peace,
of God.
of God.
Let us ruminate.
To renovate,
Innovate.
to recreate,
Mitigate.
to eliminate whatever has come between us. Let us sing down the walls.
Let us sing down the blocks.
Let us sing down the barriers.
The borders, the box.
We will sing so many bridges.
We will not sing alone.
You and I will bring the music
You and I will bring the stones.
that make that bridge much stronger.
The harmony profound.
Each stone, each note belongs here.
God's voice, our common sound.
God's voice, our common ground.
Get off the couch, sisters and brothers.
Put one foot down and then the other.
And be the change you want to see.
The eyes for those who cannot see.
The ears for those who cannot hear.
The voice for those consumed with fear.
The hope for those who've lost their drive.
The breath for those that must survive. Breathe.
Breathe.
The answer is as close as the breath that you just took.
And the one you just released.
It is the power behind the voice,
the truth behind the call,
the good behind the choir,
the
the
God,
God within us all.
Shanti,
Salam,
Shalom,
Hewa,
Pas,
Pache,
Om,
peace.
Every voice matters.
Every voice counts.
Every voice is needed.
Every voice must sound.
Every voice important.
Every song, every word.
Every voice has value.
Let your voice be heard.
Thank you, everyone.